Alright, so this video is sped up 8 times its normal speed. Otherwise you would be sitting through a very long video of me doing some shading. So of course we are doing cross contour shading for this piece, for all of our pieces. And what that does is it emphasizes the form of the objects. So we start out by finding shapes. The form is what tells us that something is three-dimensional. So those tomatoes, for starters, are clearly rounded. So look at how the lines, even if I'm doing little short straight lines, each section of those straight lines follows a part of the ellipse that creates that upper or the top of the tomato. So the next section of lines will change angle to again match an ellipse that creates the top. This colander is a great example. It was made using nothing but ellipses. And so as we follow the roundness of those ellipses, we keep changing the angle of what our pencil lines are. And that really begins to emphasize the roundness of that colander. So there's a big thing I want you to notice. Nowhere on this drawing do I really just focus on anything and try to refine it perfectly. Not yet anyway. Everything is still pretty loose. I want to be able to make corrections as I go, and so you'll see that a lot. I'll correct shapes. I'll add in little details where before I hadn't. The rough sketch is not always the best place for fine details, so they start to show up a little bit more here. Going back to that idea of not focusing on any one spot, not yet anyway. If you kind of keep bouncing around to different areas, it'll begin to look more and more like the picture as a whole has continuity, like all of the parts belong. So you're making adjustments, you're slowly increasing the values in places, so making them darker, reducing value occasionally. You'll see me using my kneaded eraser and pulling value back out where I shouldn't have put it. Again, I'm slowly making corrections to shapes even now. I do want you to notice where I'm working on the colander. There's a tomato just to the left of it. It hasn't really been refined yet. The edge of that tomato and the edge of that colander are touching in a way that is awkward. And so I actually increase the gap between the two. There's a thing in art called tangents, and that's where edges of objects run into each other, and visually it becomes kind of confusing. So you either want them to overlap or have more of a gap in between, and in this case I just chose a gap. And of course, no blending, not yet. A huge part of this is about controlling your pencil, creating lines where you want them. And so pencil control is a huge part of the learning process. So no blending yet, no smudging of things. I want to see your line work. Occasionally you'll create lines in the wrong direction. Like I did with that leaf, I was thinking tabletop. The tabletop is a flat surface, so those lines should be straight, non-curved lines, but I forgot about how the leaf more radiates outward from the stem. And so you'll notice I kind of went back over and started to show that those radiating lines outward. So as you are working on adding your cross contour shading, remember to work an area a little bit. Don't go super dark, not yet. Slowly build up your values. Make sure you're following the contours. You're creating form with your contours. And also, again, notice how I'm making sure that I've got about the right amount of petals in my flower. Oh, now that I say that, I think sunflowers, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those petals are actually some sort of modified leaf. They're not actually petals, is that correct? Man, maybe I'm remembering entirely wrong. Oh, and again with the way I'm holding my pencil, you should definitely give it a try. It allows you to hold the pencil fairly loose, and since we're still in a very sort of sketch-oriented phase, even though we're adding shading, it allows you to do so loosely and quickly. You don't have to apply a lot of pressure. You use the value of the pencil to create darkness and not the pressure of your hand. So even instructors make mistakes, and as you watch on this rounded off bowl, I've got the curve of my lines initially going the wrong way, and it was creating an almost dented or inward curve to the bowl, which of course is not correct at all. I go back a couple of times and readjust to change the direction of those curves, make it look correct. Yeah, if you mess up direction of your cross contour shading lines, they can always be corrected. Notice I just used my maul stick again. There's a couple of times where it looks like I'm resting my hand right on my drawing, but I really try to avoid that. What I'm probably doing in some of those shots is actually holding my hand up with my pinky finger. Find a clean spot, make sure your pinky is clean, hold your hand up with your pinky if you need to. It's not the easiest approach, but I've been doing it for a long time. I've gotten good at it, but again, keep your hand off of your paper if you can. Oh, and the petals on that flower are just like the sunflower. They're not perfectly how they are in the image, in the photo, but they're a good approximation. There's a similar count, similar shapes and sizes. That is one of the fun, easy things of organic shapes, is they don't have to be perfect. Beyond this point, there's no more narration, but it's worth watching, at least some of it, for the blending, touch-ups of various values, and also putting in more detail and highlights.